So then the British wheel of yoga was developing also in the early 1960s. This was really spearheaded by a man called Wilfred Clark, who was introduced to yoga, maybe in the first instance, he later said, in World War I when he was serving as a soldier, and he was serving alongside people from India who introduced the idea of the Bhagavad Gita to him as inspiring fortitude in the face of upcoming battles. And when he returned back from the war, he did an extension course from the Oxford University, a kind of home adult education course in Oriental philosophy, it was called. And then he kind of was a self-taught yoga expert. He collected books and read whatever he could. And he also worked in local newspapers. So he was good at networking. And he'd put out little ads in the classified section of local newspapers around the country saying, "Are you interested in yoga? Write to me." And he had this, had a caravan at the bottom of his garden in a South Birmingham suburb. And from there he would file all these letters in terms of regional locations. He would write back to them, start a correspondence, and then where appropriate, he'd put people in the same area in touch with each other and encourage them to form their own yoga groups and self-study areas. And then he did a carbon copied newspaper off his typewriter and would send it to these. And this was the early start of the wheel, which was really, he was kind of the hub of the wheel, and he helped network and share resources between people all over the country. He was very closely identified with Buddhism, actually, and so he chose the wheel as a Buddhist symbol as well as a symbol of this networking that he saw himself doing. But there was although he was kind of a figurehead for the networking, he wasn't a central authority, and they very much warned against following any particular guru and felt that the people who followed one of these named gurus were perhaps being a bit irresponsible in not exploring more widely of all the teachings in yoga. What Wilfred Clark was promoting in the early British wheel of yoga was a kind of yoga that was not emphasizing asana and physical education. They saw this as a mistake in a lot of educational authorities, and they wanted yoga being taught as a philosophy in a philosophy department. And the kind of recommendation in the late 60s, early 70s for yoga class was that it would be 1 part postures, 1 part meditation, 1 part relaxation, and 1 part philosophy. What was taught as philosophy was the kind of lists of different types of yoga that you find in Vivekananda. So Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and what these are. So that yoga has a variety of aspects, and also probably the Bhagavad Gita as an important expounder of how to live a yogic life. So when appropriate, Wilfred Clark would encourage people in his network to put themselves forward to teach yoga classes in their local authorities, and he would provide them with references and testimonials and eventually certificates to give them authority to teach yoga in these contexts. Wilfred Clark was collaborating with a woman called Margaret Ward, who's often listed as a national secretary, as the national organizer, as a secretary of the Wheel of Yoga. And it's really unclear to what extent she was doing, what work she was doing. All the quotes, all the figureheads stuff was about Wilfred Clark. And there's a story here, obviously, that I wasn't able to uncover and was a bit hard to unpick from what historical records I could find. There might be someone out there who knows more.